The full text is complete. I invite you all to sit back and enjoy. Don't bring the tumor report used as a prop for filming. Back home, while eating dinner, my contract wife Willow Grace suddenly spoke up. A few months left. I thought she was asking about our 1-year marriage contract. It's almost time, probably just 2 months left. Willow Grace suddenly fell silent. After that, I went abroad for a discreet 3-month study. When I returned, I heard from friends. Willow Grace, searching for her husband who died of illness, had scoured the entire country, driven to madness. She said alive she must see him, dead she must see his body. I ordered a table full of takeout, just about to feast when I saw Willow Grace, whom I hadn't seen in months, suddenly sitting down in front of me. Slightly surprised, I looked up at her. Married for over a year, Willow Grace and I barely saw each other. Her usual demeanor toward me was unmistakably cold. Sharing a meal at the same table was even rarer. In the words of her assistant, we were only married by contract. A 2-year term. Don't think too much about things you shouldn't. When the term ends, take the money and leave cleanly. I wasn't at a loss. A figure like Miss Willow was beyond my reach. Willow Grace sat there casually, from her hair to its tips. She exuded elegance, a refined arrogance long familiar to her. I, who struggled 10 years just to barely touch the hem of her world, truly couldn't aim higher. So I always kept my boundaries. Beyond money and resources, I never asked a single question about things I shouldn't care about. Willow Grace seemed to have rushed from the company, still in her clothes unchanged, wearing a high-end business suit, sitting across from me, silently watching me eat hot pot with my head down. A drop of broth nearly splashed onto Willow Grace. She paused for a moment, then suddenly asked how many months I had left. I glanced at her with slight suspicion. Willow Grace was usually swamped with work. For someone like her, time was money. She skipped work to come find me, just to ask how long our marriage contract had left. She must hate me, someone like this. Living in her house truly embarrassed her, wanting to quickly drive me away. I carefully calculated the time, reassuring Willow Grace that it was almost over, probably just 2 months left. Miss Willow, rest assured, when the time comes, I'll leave on my own. I won't trouble you. Willow Grace fell silent after hearing this. When she spoke again, her voice carried an emotion hard to discern. In this final stretch of time, did I have any wishes left? Since signing the marriage contract with Willow Grace, I had received enough resources from her, so I shook my head and said no need. I had no other wishes. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I saw Willow Grace's eyes tremble slightly at my words. Willow Grace had been acting a bit strange lately. Before, I'd see her once every few weeks. Now she was home every day. In the morning, as I replied to my manager's messages, I looked up to find Willow Grace sitting in the living room, silently watching me. For a moment, I felt a chill, then smiled at her. Miss Willow not going to the company these days. Willow Grace shook her head. Company matters aren't important now. I recalled that morning, hearing from my manager that Victor Don had returned to the country. Glancing at the bottle of wine on the living room table, I nodded in understanding. Back then, Willow Grace's assistant had specifically told me the reason Willow Grace sought me out to sign a 1-year marriage contract was because my face resembled her bright moonlight by 7 parts. Willow Grace's bright moonlight was named Victor Don. 2 years ago, he rose to fame with an online drama. It's said Willow Grace invested heavily in that drama. But after Victor Don became famous, he decisively broke up with Willow Grace and fled abroad. And Willow Grace sought me for a marriage contract to deliberately provoke Victor Don. I sighed at this. Truly the love games of the rich. We wage earners are only fit to be stepping stones. These past few days, having just finished filming a cheesy CEO romance drama, I was temporarily resting at home. While cleaning my room, I suddenly remembered. Last time I accidentally brought back a prop from the film set, still in my backpack. The prop was a tumor report, but I rummaged through my backpack and couldn't find it. I thought maybe Ethan Chance saw it and threw it out as trash. Losing it wasn't a big deal. I just mentioned it to the director later, to avoid disturbing Willow Grace, who was in the living room reminiscing about her moonlight. I stayed in my room, playing games and snacking, laughing so hard I choked on water, coughing uncontrollably. My door was suddenly knocked on lightly. Willow Grace's voice tinged with worrying came from outside. Is it serious again? Are you in a lot of pain? I was choking so hard I couldn't speak. Willow Grace immediately pushed the door open. I was coughing violently. Looking up at her, my eyes teary from coughing, looking as if I were in great pain. Willow Grace, usually so composed, was now flustered and fumbling. She called her assistant while looking at me saying, "Don't panic, I'll have Song Lin take you to the hospital right away." I finally calmed down, staring blankly at Willow Grace. I told her, what's the point of going to the hospital? Choking on water and going to the hospital, what good would that do? I didn't quite understand. Willow Grace froze for a moment, then reacted, standing there stunned. Indeed, it was pointless. The final 2 months truly beyond saving. But Willow Grace stood across from me, still in the same pose, unmoving. I don't know what she was thinking. Glancing at the game still running, I felt my rear brake was incredibly precious. Clearing my throat, I broke the strange atmosphere, saying, "Miss Willow, if there's nothing else, I'd like to rest in my room for a bit, okay?" She seemed to snap out of it, staring at me. Her usually cold, proud eyes revealed a rare trace of sadness. The next time Willow Grace knocked on my door, I felt a bit helpless. Today I'd seen her more than all our previous encounters combined. When I opened the door, the smell of alcohol on Willow Grace was stronger. Her usually neatly styled hair, now disheveled. Was I free tonight? She wanted to take me to a party with her friends. Married for so long, her friends had never met me. Hearing this, I looked at Willow Grace in surprise. Married for over a year, I always knew my place. At best, I was just a substitute who couldn't be shown off. Willow Grace taking me to meet her friends. Wasn't she afraid of losing face? Or because Victor Don returned today, did she want to humiliate me in front of her friends? To catch Victor Don's attention, I thought for a moment. Asked Willow Grace, "Is Mr. Victor there today too?" Willow Grace showed a fleeting look of confusion. After a moment, she nodded. I understood and said, "All right, I'd cooperate with her." Willow Grace's friends were mostly powerful heiresses. The clothes they wore, a single outfit equaled my pay for a whole film. When Willow Grace and I walked in, they all turned to look. Their scrutinizing gazes fell on me. They seemed unapproachable. Willow Grace walked ahead of me. She suddenly stopped. I nearly bumped into her. Then I felt someone gently take my hand. This was the first time Willow Grace and I had physical contact after all this time married. Willow Grace's hand was slightly warm, paired with her always cold face. It made me momentarily curious. Someone who always controlled everything like her. What would she be like when pursuing love? After a few steps, I heard a familiar voice from behind. "Sorry everyone, just got off the plane so I'm late." Victor Don's face resembled mine by 7 parts. Paired with the high-end suit he wore, he looked dazzlingly handsome, while I, standing ahead in my cheap clothes, looked like a country bumpkin reeking of poverty. I was momentarily dazed, quickly letting go of Willow Grace's hand, thoughtfully considering her, afraid Victor Don might mistake us for a real couple. Willow Grace, walking ahead, suddenly paused. She seemed to give a bitter laugh, her voice so soft it was almost inaudible. "Do you still hate me that much?" Though I knew Willow Grace's status was exceptional, seeing her now surrounded by heiresses, sitting at the center, I couldn't help but marvel. Money truly rules. I consciously chose a quiet corner to sit. Willow Grace wasn't far away, casually responding to boring questions from those beside her, while glancing at me. Actually, earlier when Willow Grace saw I didn't sit beside her, she was momentarily stunned, then opened her mouth as if to ask something, but after a moment, she quietly turned away, ignoring me. Willow Grace, used to handling big occasions, rarely showed emotion on her face, but now her bad mood was clear for all to see. Her eyes carried a weary look, slowly sipping the wine in her glass, her whole being wrapped in an indescribable aura. I unconsciously glanced at Victor Dawn. Maybe others didn't notice earlier, but I was always watching Victor Dawn and Willow Grace's side. I saw just now Victor Dawn deliberately ignored Willow Grace, passing by, greeting everyone there, but pointedly skipping Willow Grace. Indeed, the online rumors about Willow Grace and Victor Dawn were true. Nearby, Simon Pure, who was close to Willow Grace when no one was looking, patted her shoulder, jokingly saying, "Haven't you two found a chance to talk things out?" Willow Grace, slightly troubled, mumbled, "Not yet." Simon Pure, enjoying the drama, teased, laughing, "Hesitation isn't like you. Careful, someone might steal your chance." Willow Grace raised her eyes to Simon Pure. He immediately backtracked, Right. Who dare steal your thunder? I was just kidding." Before Willow Grace could respond, Simon Pure suddenly looked around, puzzled, asking, "Hey, where's your husband? Why hasn't he shown up?" Willow Grace followed his gaze. Seeing the empty seat, she frowned. "I was hiding in the bathroom, not because I didn't want to go out, but because the situation was just too awkward." Outside, Victor Dawn and his friend were chatting, their lively conversation, completely unaware someone was in the bathroom. "Are you and Miss Willow still fighting?" Honestly, someone like Miss Willow, blind as she is, so infatuated with you, deliberately finding a husband who looks 7 parts like you, but that guy can't compare to you. Victor Dawn snorted, adjusting his hair in the mirror. "Let her wait a bit longer. When I'm in a good mood, one wave of my hand and she'll come running. But you should be careful. You two have been in a cold war so long. What if Miss Willow figures things out? Where will you find another lovesick cash cow like her?" Victor Dawn impatiently cut him off. "Impossible. Besides me, who else could she like? That fake contract husband of hers." That fake contract husband they spoke of was hiding in the bathroom, silent. My hand on the bathroom door paused. I was debating whether to open it. Their conversation dragged on too long. My legs were sore from standing, but opening the door would make the 3 of us facing each other too awkward, weighing both sides. I held back, standing a bit longer. I have to ask Willow Grace for extra compensation later, to avoid embarrassing her bright moonlight Victor Dawn. I'd sacrificed too much. Not long after, I heard a light knock on the bathroom door. Willow Grace's voice came from outside. "Hello. Is anyone in there?" Victor Dawn, his friend, and I froze simultaneously. Kieran Valor looked at Victor Dawn with admiration. She gone just a moment, and she's already anxiously looking for you." Victor Dawn couldn't hide his smugness, raising an eyebrow. "I told you, if she doesn't like me, who else could she like?" Then Willow Grace spoke again. "Hello, is my husband in there? He hasn't come out in a while. I'm worried something happened to him." The bathroom fell silent for a moment. The door creaked open. I stubbornly stepped out, facing Victor Dawn and his friend, who were stunned. I gave an awkward laugh, but neither said anything. Victor Dawn's face paled for a moment. Then he hurriedly strode out. When he bumped into Willow Grace, he deliberately glared at her before leaving. I followed behind them, stepping out, winking hard at Willow Grace waiting there. "He's upset now. Why aren't you chasing after him, silly?" Willow Grace looked at my expression, slightly confused, frowning, asking, "What's wrong? Is your condition worse?" I inwardly rolled my eyes. "What condition? I'm this young, this healthy. Don't curse me with illness." Simon Pure, following Willow Grace, suddenly spoke up curiously. "What condition? Is a twitching eyelid a disease now?" Only then did I notice Simon Pure. I'd met him before. He was Willow Grace's childhood friend. Rumor had dated countless boyfriends. Today he brought a very unique boyfriend to the party, sitting right beside me, a college student, among the lavishly dressed crowd, wearing simple jeans and a hoodie, looking pure and awkward, obediently letting me trick him into drinking. I mentally labeled Simon Pure a scoundrel. "What twitching eyelid? Your whole family's eyelids are twitching." Willow Grace didn't explain much. She just lightly told Simon Pure, "You wouldn't understand." She turned to me. "Actually, I don't understand either. But as Willow Grace's contract husband, I never asked about things I shouldn't. Back at the party, many were gathered around Victor Dawn, seeming to notice Willow Grace's return. Kieran Valor deliberately raised his voice to Victor Dawn. Don't be sad anymore. That kind of woman isn't worth it. No one around dared speak. No one wanted to offend Willow Grace. Kieran Valor, seeing the mood turn cold, felt a bit embarrassed and spoke louder. Even if you two are fighting, why does she need to hurt you like that? She clearly knows you're a man of pride. A faint voice suddenly interrupted him. But I remember Miss Willow's husband is Ethan Starr. Not you saying this isn't right. I froze, looking toward the voice. I saw the shy boyfriend Simon Pure brought, nervously clutching his wine glass. Defending me. Kieran Valor's face darkened. He was about to say more, but Simon Pure spoke first. Exactly. Her husband's right here. What are you all stirring up? I was stunned, instinctively turning to look at Willow Grace, only to see her staring at Kieran Valor and Victor Dawn, her eyes cold and terrifying. After a moment, she spoke, calling security. If they keep causing trouble, throw them both out. Hearing this, not just me, but Victor Dawn's face darkened too. In disbelief, he looked up at Willow Grace. The party ended unhappily. Back home, the door just locked. I turned around and bumped into Willow Grace standing still. The living room lights were off. Willow Grace was in a bad mood today. Normally disciplined and polite, she rarely drank. But now she stood so close to me. The faint perfume on her clothes mixed with red wine, enveloping me. I didn't dare move. If I did, I felt my heart might race. What's this? I heard Willow Grace's voice, slightly hoarse. Ethan Starr, I have something to say to you. The atmosphere felt strange. I suddenly felt nervous. Go ahead. Then, as if remembering something, I added, actually, I have something to say to you too. A sudden ring of the phone interrupted, cutting off what Willow Grace was about to say. She hesitated a moment before answering. It was her assistant. Willow Grace didn't close the door tightly. What did you say? The funding was cut. She hurriedly left. As she closed the door, she paused, turning back to say, wait for me to return. It'll be quick. But for days I didn't see Willow Grace. Seeing how busy she was, I couldn't bear to disturb her. Nor did I tell her about my plan to study abroad, because my acting still needed much improvement. Following a friend's advice, I chose to study discreetly abroad for 3 months. When I boarded the plane, I had planned to study for 3 months. When I returned, it'd be near the contract's end with Willow Grace. By then, if she was home and didn't see me, she wouldn't mind. After that, we'd finalize the divorce, and I'd focus on my career. When I arrived abroad, out of my thrifty habits, I switched to a foreign phone card. For 3 months, I was cut off from the world, fully immersed in my studies, until I returned to the country. Just off the plane, I turned on my phone, switched back to my old card. My phone flooded with messages and calls, making me pause in thought. My study abroad, I'd mentioned to my parents back home through a roommate. Since I had few friends, only my closest friend knew about my study abroad. As for my manager and company, I'd properly taken leave. A message popped up automatically from an account called Gossip Guide Entertainment. Another tragic love story. To find her husband who died of illness. The famous CEO of Willow Corp spared no effort turning the country upside down, just to see her beloved one last time. I read that line several times, standing dazed in the wind. The CEO of Willow Corp was Willow Grace, I knew, but I didn't know if I misunderstood, or if Willow Grace had found a new husband. Who was this husband who died of illness? Back at Willow Grace's villa, the house was very quiet. Everything was exactly as I left it. Even the half-drunk juice I forgot to throw out still sat on the table. I was silent for a moment. 3 months later, it's probably fermented by now. My room was still locked. I couldn't even get my savings book. That was my salary saved over a decade. A bit frustrated, I sat on the sofa. The living room was littered with wine bottles. Probably no cleaner had been called in months. I grabbed a broom to clean up, deciding to tidy the house one last time before the contract ended. The villa door opened just then. It was Willow Grace back from the company. It was only 2 in the afternoon. Willow Grace, a workaholic, would normally still be working at this hour, but now she wore no makeup, dressed in casual clothes, her eyes red, head lowered. Willow Grace always meticulous about her image. Her business suits usually crisp and neat, slim waist, long legs, looking refined and cold. But now she looked haggard, making me wonder, had her company gone bankrupt? Willow Grace took off her coat. As she looked up, our eyes met as I sat on the sofa. She froze for a moment, then lowered her head, wearily rubbing her eyes, giving a bitter laugh. I haven't slept well in days. Why am I hallucinating now? I was a bit speechless, then said, hallucinating what? I'm alive and well right here. Willow Grace froze. She stared at me blankly. After a moment, she suddenly couldn't speak, grabbing a half-empty bottle of red wine from the living room, gulping it down, walking straight to me. She stared at me intensely. Her lips moved slightly. The strong smell of alcohol made me realize Willow Grace wasn't entirely sober. I felt something was off. Then Willow Grace suddenly cupped my face with both hands, her eyes brimming with emotion. Standing on tiptoes, she bit my lip hard. She hugged my waist, her body pressing into mine. The familiar scent of her perfume, a faint, elegant fragrance, sent my heart into chaos. I tried to push Willow Grace away, calling her to snap out of it. Willow Grace, I'm really not dead. Hearing my voice, she looked up at me, her red eyes terrifying. Then she shut them tightly, her voice hoarse beyond recognition. Even if it's a dream, fine. If I can see you in a dream, let it last a bit longer. Dream? What dream? This is why I hate dealing with drunk people. Willow Grace's actions grew more frantic, as if afraid I'd vanish the next second. Exhausted, I gave in, but the moment I let go, Willow Grace suddenly closed her eyes, collapsing into my arms. Panicked, I checked her breathing. Thankfully, she'd likely passed out from lack of rest. I was very annoyed. I really didn't understand why she'd suddenly gone crazy. When I contacted the housekeeper to clean, the other end, hearing my voice, was clearly a bit panicked. All right, it'll come right away. I paused for half a second, then explained. Did Willow Grace tell you I died? I'm not dead. I'm perfectly fine. The housekeeper's voice grew more nervous. All right. It'll come right away. Until 8 at night, the housekeeper didn't show up. Willow Grace hadn't woken. My room was still locked, and I kept calling everyone around, asking what had happened. After asking endlessly, I finally learned it was the housekeeper who took a photo of my tumor report and told Willow Grace I had a terminal illness. I was very quiet because I remembered from the film set the prop I lost, that tumor report. Turned out the housekeeper took it and gave it to Willow Grace. Thinking back to Willow Grace, the questions she'd asked me before, I immediately understood. When Willow Grace asked how much time I had left, she was asking how many days I had to live, not how long until our contract ended. And I said just 3 months. Luckily, Willow Grace had only recently started posting online to find me. If it had been later when I returned, not only would there be no welcome party, a few days later there'd be a memorial service. When Willow Grace woke up, it was past 11 at night. She opened her eyes, staring blankly at me for a while, then rubbed her temples, looking at me dazed. I gave an awkward smile, greeting her. Miss Willow, you're finally awake. Willow Grace nodded silently. I briefly told her I'm not dead. I'm perfectly fine. I just went abroad to study for 3 months. Last time I meant to tell you, but you went to the company. Seeing you busy, I didn't want to disturb you. That tumor report was a prop from when I was filming. Willow Grace froze for a few seconds. Her lash trembled slightly. Then she spoke. A prop. I took a deep breath. Yes. I just accidentally brought it home. The room fell silent for a moment, along with Willow Grace's voice, slightly low, repeating, so you're really not dead. Of course, Willow Grace's lips moved slightly. She looked up again, but frowned at my lips, asking, why are your lips so swollen? What did you do abroad? Afraid Willow Grace might do something bigger than a memorial service for me, I quickly explained. You kissed me, forgot. Willow Grace froze again for a moment, Her cold eyes quickly tinged with a blush. She coughed twice unnaturally. Drunkenness makes it easy to lose control. Sorry, it was more than losing control. I inwardly gritted my teeth. Fine, let it go. The misunderstanding was cleared anyway. I said to Willow Grace, by the way, I came back this time to finalize the divorce. Our 2-year marriage contract has expired. Are you free tomorrow? Not free. Willow Grace replied immediately the day after or the one after that. Also not free. Willow Grace looked at me. You know, I'm very busy. I fell silent. But actually, I wasn't in a rush for this. I hurried back because I thought Willow Grace was eager to divorce. Didn't she still want to pursue Victor Dawn? But now thinking back on this misunderstanding, something felt off. I sensed Willow Grace had an unusually strong feeling for me. But wasn't I just a substitute for Victor Dawn? When I first married Willow Grace, in the early days, it's not like I didn't have other thoughts. After all, Willow Grace truly had a face that could sway any man. Living together for over a year, even the most unlikable person would inevitably develop some special feelings. But I quickly told myself, Willow Grace and I were from different worlds. She had someone unforgettable in her heart. I could like anyone, but I absolutely couldn't let my feelings seem so pathetic. So I always deliberately made myself not care about Willow Grace's life. Things unrelated to me I never asked. Thoughts I shouldn't have. I crushed them in their infancy. I didn't know whether the feelings Willow Grace showed me now were habits formed over a year of our contract, or just emotions mistaking me for Victor Dawn's substitute. But neither was acceptable to me. So I gave Willow Grace a faint smile, saying, then you pick a time. Let's finalize the divorce soon. These few days I won't disturb you. I'll rent a place to stay temporarily. The next time I met Victor Dawn was when he came to the house looking for me. He sized me up from head to toe, confidently sipping tea, slowly saying, do you know why Willow Grace married you? I calmly nodded, saying for him I know, because I resemble him in some ways, treating me as his substitute. Victor Dawn was slightly taken aback, then leaned forward saying, now that you know everything, why stay with her getting in my way? You must know if I apologize to Willow Grace, she'll come running back to me. I honestly replied, I know. That's why we'll divorce in a few days. Victor Dawn clearly didn't expect my bluntness. His mouth opened then closed silently, as if unsure what to say next. After a moment he sneered, good that you know. Don't cling to her anymore. Victor Dawn was about to leave when he opened the door. He came falsetto-faced with Willow Grace standing outside. It was unclear how long she had been listening. I felt a bit embarrassed for both of them. Victor Dawn looked at Willow Grace, suddenly lowering his voice, sincerely saying, Grace, I was wrong. I shouldn't have run abroad. Can you come back to me? Willow Grace frowned, stepping back. Mr. Victor, please have some self-respect. Don't say things that cause misunderstandings. Victor Dawn froze for a moment. His prideful nature, apologizing for the first time, and being rejected without courtesy. He immediately got angry. What do you mean? Willow Grace apologized. What more do you want? Willow Grace calmly looked at him. What more? That's what I should be asking you. Why do you keep following me? I was stunned, sensing a big scandal brewing. Willow Grace continued, it's you who, for fame, kept dragging me into scandals. I gave you face, didn't make a fuss. What more do you want? Then she turned to me, who was engrossed in the drama, saying, you're just standing there watching the show. Last time I wanted to tell you, but you left before I could finish. Let's clear things up today. After hearing Willow Grace, I felt this was indeed a bombshell, because back then Victor Dawn's online drama lost its investors halfway through. The director told Victor Dawn to attend a party to secure funding, calling it securing funding, but it was really an unspoken deal. By chance he met Willow Grace at the party. Seeing Victor Dawn harassed by a wealthy, plump woman, Willow Grace stepped in to help him and casually funded the entire film. Willow Grace always reserved, unlike other heiresses who played recklessly. So when this happened, rumors spread that Victor Dawn was the moonlight Willow Grace loved but couldn't have. Because of Willow Grace's status, many took curry favor with her, deliberately flattered Victor Dawn. Driven by vanity, Victor Dawn didn't clarify, letting the rumors spread. Over time, even he believed them, right? If Willow Grace didn't like him, why would she invest so much in a terrible online drama for a stranger? If Willow Grace didn't like him, why never clarify those rumors? But this time, Willow Grace didn't spare Victor Dawn's dignity. She looked at him, her gaze slightly cold. Do you know why I never made a fuss about the things you did? Otherwise, normally, any star who offended Willow Grace would quietly disappear instead of becoming more famous. Victor Dawn, you really should thank your face. I truly widened my eyes. So both of us were substitutes. Willow Grace looked at me with slight amusement at my shocked expression. She took my hand asking, do you remember the first time we met on the plane? Of course I remembered. That's why after learning Willow Grace's identity, I was anxious for a long time. The first time I met Willow Grace was on a plane. She had just returned from studying abroad. I was naturally talkative. On the plane, seeing Willow Grace's beauty, I deliberately struck up a conversation. I told her I was a star, just the kind outside the top 18. Willow Grace looked at the financial paper in her hand, sparing words saying, and then I pointed to a building almost piercing the clouds, saying, that's the company my dad started. Willow Grace finally reacted. Slightly surprised, she looked at me, then pointed to a taller building nearby saying, what a coincidence. The one next to it is my dad's company. I inwardly mocked her. What a boast without a draft. I was just making it up. But she went even further. Who didn't know that building, the tallest in the city center, belonged to Willow Corp? Could she be the daughter of Willow Corp's chairman? After getting off the plane, I learned she really was the chairman's daughter. At that time, Willow Grace saw me waiting for a ride with her. Her car arrived first. She turned to ask, shall I give you a ride? I'm heading to your company to meet Miss Shen. You must be Miss Shen's son, right? I gave an awkward smile saying no need, but Willow Grace smiled faintly at me, her face so beautiful. It made every young man fall at first sight, completely defeating my reason. Miss Shen did my dad a favor. It's fine, it'll take you partway. The next second I said, all right, let's go. But at the company gate, I refused to get out. I said I was hungry. I tricked Willow Grace into going to a roadside stall for a hot pot meal, then tricked her into a fried chicken shop for a portion of fried chicken. Willow Grace clearly had never eaten such things. She ate so elegantly, slowly cutting the chicken breast into small pieces with a knife, leaving me stunned. Then she thanked me. Thank you for taking me to eat such delicious things. I smiled at her. Right. Good food lifts your mood, especially fried chicken. Willow Grace laughed. It really does. Can we go meet Miss Shen now? I was silent for a moment, then said, hold on. I'm not full yet. Let's go for afternoon tea. After tea, stepping outside. As expected, it was dark. I turned, pretending regret, saying to Willow Grace, oh, it's too late. Let's meet Miss Shen tomorrow. Shall we catch a movie first? Willow Grace hesitated a long time before nodding. Later, I learned the day I met Willow Grace was the second week after her parents and brother passed away. She was upset with them for not wanting to take over her dad's company, missing their final call before their car accident. Initially, they had booked flights to Mexico to surprise Willow Grace, who hadn't been home in 3 years. But they met with an accident on the way. Their final call to Willow Grace rang endlessly, but no one answered. The day Willow Grace returned, she planned to meet the last important people in her life, then find a place to end it all. But she met me by chance, someone who clung to her. I stuck with her from morning to night. It's quite a coincidence. An heiress used to gourmet delicacies, eating street food for the first time, and enjoying it so much, forgetting her nightmares and the pain of loss. She suddenly thought, not yet. There were things she hadn't seen, hadn't explored, hadn't tried. She wanted to try them all. So not now. For a long time after, I didn't see Willow Grace again. I focused on acting, though I failed miserably no matter how I tried. When I heard about Willow Grace, it was on Weibo. First I saw she was so young, yet reclaimed her father's shares, becoming CEO of Willow Corp. Then saw rumors about her and Victor Dawn, later meeting Willow Grace at a few parties. She was the center of attention. I sat at the back in the dimmest corner. Then Willow Grace suddenly contacted me, saying she wanted to sign a marriage contract for 2 years, paying me $6 million upfront and another $8 million later. Hearing such a heaven-sent deal, to be sure, I still asked her assistant why she wanted to sign a marriage contract with me. Willow Grace's assistant knew the rumors about her and Victor Dawn, so warned me not to overthink. Willow Grace was with me only because my face resembled Victor Dawn's by 7 parts. I wasn't exactly disappointed. After all, Willow Grace and I only met once. How could someone like her notice me? Actually, when we first married, I couldn't help but hold some hope. After all, from the first time I saw Willow Grace, I knew her face truly matched my aesthetic. But after marriage, Willow Grace was always cold to me. Gradually, I stopped hoping. Doing my part was enough. I understood clearly. Between us was just a transaction. After hearing the truth from Willow Grace's mouth, I felt my heart beat faster, probably from excitement. Then I slowly asked Willow Grace, in other words, you liked me at first sight? Willow Grace was silent for a moment, then denied it. Not exactly. I was a bit disappointed. Actually, when I signed the marriage contract with you, I just wanted, before ending my life, to experience everything I hadn't tried. I sought you out because you were interesting, and I'd never been in love. I thought after 2 years I'd get bored. But then, she started for some reason caring more about me, until she thought I had only 2 months left to live. She realized some feelings only surface when a tidal wave hits, revealing a glimpse of truth. That kind of feeling wasn't from habit, but from the shock of almost losing someone, realizing you've fallen in love. Hearing this, I was a bit speechless, looking at Willow Grace. Why didn't you say earlier? Letting these misunderstandings happen. Wouldn't it have been better to clear things up sooner? Willow Grace, now slightly awkward, cleared her throat. I always thought you hated me. Simon Pierre later told me signing a contract with you was wrong. It'd make you think I treated you like a commodity, without respect, and your attitude toward me always seemed distant, always eager to cut ties. Like at the party before, didn't you avoid sitting next to me? I fell strangely silent. I wondered, was my moral compass too low? Otherwise, why, when I learned about the marriage contract and the over 10 million I'd get, was my mind only filled with joy at striking it rich, without a thought for respect? After a moment, I told Willow Grace, tell Simon Pierre, he's overthinking. Next time there's a deal this good, find me. Willow Grace glared at me. I gave an awkward laugh. Just kidding. Victor Dawn, long forgotten beside us, stared blankly at Willow Grace. After a moment, he broke down, his face cold, cursing Willow Grace as awful, then stormed out the door. My luggage was still downstairs. I'd planned to pack up today and leave Willow Grace's house. Who knew so much would happen? So Willow Grace stood in front of me, blocking the door, not letting me go, patiently waiting for me. After speaking, so are we still divorcing? I asked. Willow Grace looked at me amused. You tell me. I thought for a moment, saying, but you haven't paid the $8 million deposit. If we don't divorce, I'm at a bit of a loss. Willow Grace laughed. A loss? If we don't divorce, you can have as many $8 millions as you want. I nodded, saying, all right then. Willow Grace, a bit skeptical, repeated my words. All right then, why so reluctant? I smiled lightly at her. I am reluctant. Who told you to plan a memorial for me? That evening at home, eating dinner, Willow Grace said, do you know what today is? I looked at her, puzzled. She pointed to the calendar nearby. Just back from abroad with so much happening, I almost forgot. It was almost New Year. The housekeeper beside us said, since that incident, Willow Grace had spent every New Year alone. I smiled, holding Willow Grace's hand, telling her from now on I'll always be by your side. Outside the window at midnight, fireworks bloomed on time everywhere. Whether it was me and Willow Grace in my arms, or Victor Dawn crying downstairs, or at this moment, all those troubled by life, looked up at the fireworks in the sky. Their brilliant light illuminated the vast world. The world seemed to pause at this moment. Though the road ahead is foggy, though mistakes are made, look up. The path to the future stretches from the sky to your feet. Life is full of colors. After the fog clears, there's always a road to the heavens. The full text is complete.